What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami, the Miami Herald show about all things Inter Miami. I'm your host, Andre Fernandez, Deputy Sports Editor at the Herald, joined once again by Inter Miami beat writer Michelle Kaufman. Messi Mania in full effect. We're seeing lots of that. We're seing a little bit of the Pistolero too, but we're seeing
Little bit of
lots of the first
pistolero,
one.
but a lot of this.
A
A
lot
lot
of
of
pointing to
pointing
the
to the
sky.
sky.
Yep,
The abuelita's
absolutely.
getting a lot of love. Abuelita's getting a lot of love in the last few
Yes.
weeks because
Yeah.
Messi is on fire. He's
God
on
bless her.
fire.
God bless her. She must be enjoying it, watching her nieto
Hmm.
tear it up as he usually does. But now he's doing it in that pink jersey. A lot of goals. They're turning into a lot of wins and a lot of important points for this team, which now stands at the top of the MLS standings overall. 21 points, 3 points ahead. Doesn't sound like much, but that's a full game, one full victory ahead of everybody in the MLS standings right now. They're leading the league in goals. They're leading the league in goal differential. Times are good, Michelle, and Messi is right there at the heart of it.
Yeah, I mean, when this team has him, it's completely different. I mean, just the we'll start with the attendance, at Gillette Stadium the other night, 65,600 something. I mean, it's crazy. Everywhere he goes, he's breaking attendance records, but he's also now breaking MLS records. He's the first player to get 16. He has 9 goals and 7 assists in 7 games. So 9 goals,
Wow.
7 assists in 7 games, really 6.5 because he played half a game in one of those. And so those 16 goal contributions is the quickest that anybody in MLS history has gotten 16 uh, goal contributions in 7 games is the quickest that anybody's ever done that. So he broke that record. He's also the first player in MLS history to have multiple goal contributions in 5 consecutive games, which that just happened. And he's leading the league with 9 goals. He's tied for 7 assists, but the other guy with 7 assists is Arango, who's played 2 more games than he has. So he's really tearing it up. He's absolutely tearing it up. And the other teams, they try and they think that they're defending him well, and they look like they're defending him well for a while. I mean, New England, they score first in the first 37 seconds. We're going to address that later. And Miami's down. Miami's down. It looks like maybe New England is really in this game. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he lulls the defender to sleep. Lima, who's the guy who was defending him, he was in front of him, in front of him, in front of him. So the defender gets used to that idea and it's like, oh, okay, hey man, I'm doing a good job here. I've got Messi under control. And then bam, he gets behind him in a split second. He sees something, gets a beautiful pass, and and scores. It's he's that good. He really is. He's that
Yeah.
good.
I mean that's what Messi does. I think he just teases you into thinking, yeah, you're matching up, and boom, no, just kidding. And that
Yeah,
that one
sometimes he's
touch,
just walking around. Sometimes
yeah,
he's just walking around. My
that
husband jokes that sometimes he looks like a guy who just roamed in from the stands and he's roaming around the field in the middle of the field, like, oh, let's see what's going on here. He's kind of like
right,
walking around, surveying the game, surveying the field, and all of a sudden he only runs when he has to. He only runs when he has to. He does not run when he doesn't have to. He
right,
wastes no energy whatsoever. He runs only when he has to, sees things nobody else sees, although Busquets has very good eyes too.
yeah,
The pass that he gave Messi was, I mean, you watch that on TV and you're saying,
clinical.
where exactly did he see
Yep.
that opening to make that pass? Because on TV, it looked like it's a bunch of defenders, 5 defenders or something, and he somehow passed the ball right through them. And of course, Messi was right there at the exact right point to receive it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
His
it's unbelievable to watch, really.
two of the things that just marvel me over and over, and when you see it more often, is the consistency that he has with this. His accuracy from distance, just to be able to score from just outside the box with just the frequency that he does. And then talking about being marked one on one, that one touch, that quick one touch that he has, that it's barely a touch. It's like just real quick. And you don't know as a defender to play tight or to back off a little. Either way, he kills you. And that's why he's world class. I mean, there's not enough you could say,
Yeah.
but that's why he's so good.
Yeah, he's really, really good. And I went to the I'm writing a story right now. I joked I'm writing about the Messi experience because last week the Messi experience opened in Miami, which is it's a traveling tour, museum
Yep.
exhibit, like an interactive multimedia exhibit. It's going to go to 80 cities around the world. And it opened in Miami on last Thursday, and I got to go to see it. And it's really a very cool exhibit. I got to say, I was skeptical at first. I'm like, but it's the same one we talked about last week. That it's the same type of thing as the Van Gogh exhibit, the Monet, Frida, those type of art exhibits. But they did one with Messi, and it really is quite clever the way they've done it. They take you through his life. You start off in Rosario. There's like a little scene that looks like you're walking in a little courtyard in Rosario. You're in his bedroom, and it shows a replica of his bedroom recreated from when he was a little boy. What little toys were on his shelf, what games he had on his shelves, what his bedspread looked like. There was actually a little part about his abuela, where he's writing a little note saying that his grandmother took him to practice, and she's was the one who encouraged the coach to put him in when the coach thought he was too little to play. The grandma is the one, the abuela is the one who said, no, no, put him in, that he can play. um, so you go through his childhood, and then you go to Barcelona. You land in Barcelona, and all of a sudden you're actually in Barcelona. You're at Camp Nou, and you're watching scenes, but it's very well done with the multimedia. You kind of feel like you're immersed in a stadium where he's playing, and some big moments, and then you see him. Then they have some interactive games that you play. Then you go to the World Cup. You go to the World Cup in when Argentina wins, you get to sort of experience that. And then there's a locker room scene, which is very cool, done with AI, where you sit in a locker. It's a locker room. You're sitting in the locker room. All of his jerseys are hanging in all the lockers have his jersey, of course, number 10. You sit in the locker room, and then he's there all of a sudden. It's like an AI version of Lionel Messi is in the room with you, and he gives you a pep talk, and it looks like he's looking right at you. The way they have the cameras and the AI and everything set up, it looks like he's looking right out, and you're having a conversation with him. So that was pretty cool. We don't get to converse with him very often, so that was as close as I've gotten in a while. I got chat with the AI version of Messi. And then at the end, you get to take a selfie with him. And it's pretty cool because he's holding the camera. And again, it's done with AI. You walk up and you stand on a certain spot, and he comes out and he's holding the camera out. It's like 3D. And you feel like you're standing there with Messi, and that he's got the camera and he's going, oh no, move over a little bit here to the right, to the left. And then you get in the exact right spot, and they snap the selfie that you get with him. And then, of course, you can
Wow.
get it with a little QR code. And it looks, in fact, it was so believable that my cousin in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I sent it to her, and she thought that I was with him. She could not believe that it was fake. And I kept
Right.
telling her, no, no, I am not with him. She's like, yes, you are. You're with him. You're with him. No, this is not real. This is the Messi
Right.
experience. So anyway, it's a pretty cool exhibit. And what I was writing about in my story is that the experience that fans are getting in the Messi experience is very different from the Messi experience of being an opposing defender.
Oh
To go up against him, that is not fun.
no.
There is nothing fun, entertaining, or enjoyable about the experience, the Messi experience from an MLS defender right now, because nobody is able to stop him at this point. Nobody's able
No.
to stop him.
No, no, nobody's enjoying legit Messi. Everybody is enjoying artificial Messi, like you are. Throwing selfies, and that's hey. At least he got to talk to AI Messi, sort of. Pseudo.
Yeah,
Interaction
he
there.
gave me a pep talk. He gave me a
There you
nice little
go.
pep talk. He said hello at the beginning. There's actually at the beginning, he welcomes you. When you
Yeah.
walk in, he's standing there right in front of you, and he looks like he's looking right at you, and he
Yeah.
welcomes you to the exhibit. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's I enjoyed it. I got to say, I was skeptical, but I did enjoy it. But the MLS defenders are not enjoying the Messi experience very much. But
No.
the Inter Miami fans are, and the Messi fans are. Everyone, that stadium the other night, 65,000 people. A lot of them were New England fans, but they wanted to see Messi, and they got to see him full game, 95 minutes. They got to see
Yeah.
Messi in his glory.
That's good, and that's the thing that again it kind of it goes back to the point that we've been bringing up the last couple episodes of how this team is all in right now to stack this up and get as high up as they can. And what I meant before with the one full victory ahead, that now some of these teams that are chasing them have a game in hand, have at least like one match in hand. So this is good for them to get that three, provides them a cushion. You're almost like a week ahead of the competition because, yeah, they can tie you, but then it's up to you. Then you can keep matching instead of chasing or something like that. Like that little cushion, believe it or not, even though it doesn't look like much at 3 points, is something right now. And they can continue to add to it. Of course, we'll get to them a little bit later in the show. The next one is theoretically not going to be easy at all, but they're going to be itching for it after the embarrassment they had. But we'll talk about the Red Bulls and the game Saturday
Yeah,
later
but
a little bit more.
as
But
far as the standings go, last year I looked, I did a little research here. Last year it took this team 24 games to get to 21 points.
yeah,
It took 24 games. It was August or something when they got to 21 points. And this year with Messi full and Suarez, the addition of both of those guys this
yeah,
year in full season, they've only taken 11 games to get
right.
21 points. 11
Less
games
than
to get
half.
21 points. Last year they took 24 games to get to 21 points. So they are way ahead at the moment. Of course, it's still extremely early. We are still very, very early in the season. We're talking about May 1st, and this goes through November. But the point is, the team is so far ahead right now in the standings of where they were last year. And
Right.
last year, even as low as they were, last place, they were on the verge, excuse me, on the verge of getting a spot. And this year they already are with a comfortable lead.
Yeah. Well, and it is extremely early still, but I know you brought up talking about everybody thought on name alone if he'd win the MVP of the MLS this year. I mean, of course, he's Lionel Messi. Who's better than him? But there's something to be said about living up to it the way he has been in these first few games, especially. I mean, granted, there's still a long season to go. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay durable. He's not going to play every single game left, as we know, because there's going to be commitments to the national team and so forth. But I mean, he has really already like planted the flag when it comes to the MVP race for sure. I mean, doing historic things like he's doing, like you mentioned before, with the amount of goals and assists in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and Arango is a close second. He also has,
Yeah,
I believe it's 8 goals, 7 assists, but it's over 10 games. So he's played 3 more games than Messi has played already. And just what Messi's doing for his whole team, for the league, all of it. When you talk about the most valuable player of the entire league, you can't, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue that anybody is having a bigger impact on his team and on the entire league than this man. Everywhere he goes, they're breaking attendance records. He is breaking scoring records, goal contribution records. It's remarkable. Taylor Twellman mentioned that in 24 games that he has played with Inter Miami, they've lost 3. They've only lost 3 of the 24 games that he has played in since he joined the team last July. So, he is living up, and there is a lot of pressure. I mean, there's always been pressure on him. When you are the best, everyone expects you to be the best. Everyone who's paying tickets wants you to play like the GOAT that you are. And so there's a lot of pressure on him to perform every single time he goes on the field. The other team is completely focused on him. The other team has made a game plan that is completely centered around him. All of the fans have their cell phones up, waiting for him to do something. Every time he touches the ball, you hear, ooh, you hear noises. Every time he touches the ball, you can tell, even if you had your eyes closed, if you went to a stadium and you had your eyes closed, you would know exactly when Messi touches the ball because there's always a sound that
right.
everybody makes. There's an energy field that takes over when he touches the ball.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on that man, a lot of pressure, and he is delivering. And even though he missed 4 games, remember that he missed 4 games with an injury. And there was some thought that, he's going to come back maybe a little tentative, or maybe he's going to not play too many games now because he's going to preserve himself for Copa America. but he is now on a run. He's on a roll. He's healthy. He's having fun. He was at the Miami Heat game. He and the
The
big
four of them
four,
were.
the
Yeah.
Beatles, the Beatles, the Mount Rushmore, all
Yeah.
four of them showed up. They all showed up for the Miami Heat game. Game 4, it was Boosie and Jordi Alba and Luis Suarez and Messi and their families. They all were there for the game. So he's out and about, which is not normal for him to really be out and going to sporting events and stuff like that. So he's having a good time. He's having a good time. He's playing well. He's happy, which is nice to see because really that Monterrey debacle, first of all, the
Mm.
injury, and then after the injury, compounding it was that whole mess with Monterrey and their coaching staff and all of that. So now, now they are kind of on a good run. Everybody's in a good mood. They're passing that mate around and around and around.
The yerba
Things
mate.
are good. The
Yep.
yerba mate, things are good. Things are good in the Messi camp right now. Things are good in the Inter Miami camp right now. And
Yeah.
yeah, they have they have some big games coming up, which we're going to talk about at the end with the New York Red Bulls. But where they are right now is pretty good. And Tata was happy. He mentioned the other day that players are coming back from injury. Finally,
Hmm.
some of the key players that have been missing are coming back. So Robert Taylor came back this week, and Leo Campana came back, and Ben Hakremashi came back last week, and this week scored a goal
And scored.
already.
Yeah.
He comes in late game substitute, and bam, connects with takes a rebound from a Messi shot and scores, and then also contributed to the next goal for Suarez. So, Benha, he said in the interview the other day just how good that was for him for his mental side because he had not played at all. And this is a young man, a teenager who was having such an impact last season. And for him to get injured in the preseason that way, he did not get to travel to that preseason tour, even though, to be honest, maybe he was better off not going because that was kind of a forgettable tour in most ways. But he didn't get to participate with his teammates in that trip. He didn't get to go to all those exotic locales. He had to stay back here and do rehab. And so for him to come back and in his second game back to score so quickly was really gives him a boost of confidence for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they always say that the true greats like elevate their teammates. So you could see that effect with guys like that, with Messi and the way he could feed some of these younger players like that. I mean, Benja's so young still. We forget how young he really is. And like you said, I mean, he steps on and immediately contributes. And it's still not, it was in a situation where they're not up by 5 or 6 goals. I mean, it's still enough. They're going to be in situations where cushioning that lead late in the game is important to avoid a letdown. As we know, they're still not airtight on defense as well as they are lights out on offense. So I mean, that effect of Messi just making everyone around him better, not just Messi too. I mean, Suarez too. The veterans that have had that experience,
Busquets, yeah,
Busquets, everybody,
Busquets.
Alba, all of them. That's a great thing to see for this team. That's only going to help them evolve and get better. And those guys, obviously, we know are going to need that going forward when those guys aren't in the lineup, and that's coming up pretty soon, come summertime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're definitely going to be missing Messi. Diego Gomez, I don't know. He probably will not be ready still for Copa, but maybe for the Olympics. And for the Olympics, Kurmashi may be on the U.S. Olympic team. It's possible he is a candidate to be on the U.S. Olympic team. All the guys who are under 23 who are standing out on this team would be candidates to be on their national team for the Olympics, which would be coming up in July, which I believe may even cross over. I have to look at the schedule with the Leagues Cup. I'm not sure, but I think the Olympics is right around the time, or maybe just at the very beginning of when the Leagues Cup would start. So there's going to be some conflicts now with Copa America. Leo Campana would love to play in Copa America for Ecuador. I mean, he's here, he's in the United States. Copa America is in the United States.
Right.
So all of these players for the U.S., for the Inter Miami team, they could play in Copa America in the United States would love to. I'm sure Drake Callender, is a candidate to be a goalkeeper on that team, and Messi wants to play. So it's going to be interesting once they start dropping for the national team. It's the depth is going to be really, really important. And the return of Taylor and Campana, those are two really key players. Last year, those two were very, very good players, and we have not seen them too much since they got injured early in this season. So the return of both of those was a welcome sight for Inter Miami fans. And
Yeah.
then Matias Rojas, he came in very, very late, but he literally just signed like on Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, he came in, I think he trained 1 day or 2 days, and they put him in at the end. And he made one great play that if that's an indication, if that's a preview of what's to come, uh, that's something to look forward to because he chased down the ball for that last goal. He chased that ball down all the way to the end line there
Hmm.
and was able to keep it in play. And that is why that goal even happened. Most players would have let that just roll over the line. They wouldn't have gotten there. And he did, made a nice pass and
Yeah.
kept that ball in play. And that's the reason that they scored that goal. So he's a veteran guy, 28 years old. He's not too old, but he's not too young. He's right in that sweet spot
Right.
of age where he has experience with the Paraguayan national team. Um, but he's not too old that his legs are dying or his knees are hurting yet. So I think he's going to be a key
Yeah.
addition. I think we only got to see a tiny little taste, a little
Yeah.
sliver of him the other day, but I think we should be watching out for Matias Rojas over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and making those extra effort plays like that too. That's a good example too from a guy like that that is, like I said, not one of the very youngsters, but it shows you a guy with a name coming into this team and putting himself out there like that too. And like you mentioned before, I mean, Campana's been key for a while now, even going back to the pre-Messi days. And then Taylor was one of the first that showed some chemistry on the field with Messi
With Messi.
in those first
Yes.
few games, connecting with him on scores, whether it was him giving the pass or vice versa, showed a lot. So to have that core back is going to be tremendous. Uh, so everybody, remember you're watching Inside Inter Miami and listening to it potentially in your wherever you are listening to it. Remember, favorite podcatcher, iTunes, Spotify, wherever. We appreciate it. Remember, you can catch this show on YouTube. We wanted to talk a little bit more about this team. Also, not all everything is pretty good right now, but this team keeps falling behind seconds into the game, Michelle. What's up with that? They keep conceding these early goals. I mean, they keep digging themselves out of it, but you don't want to keep
Because they
doing
have
that.
Yes, they have. I mean, Messi is, he's rescuing them. It's like they're
Right.
they're like, every game I feel like you better turn that game on right at 7:30 because if you turn it on at 7:33, you've already missed a
You
goal. Although
missed
maybe
something.
if you're a Miami fan, maybe you don't want to see the first three. Maybe if you're a Miami fan, you actually should tune in at 7:35. Just skip the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes because this team continues to concede goals
Right.
in the first few minutes, and we talk about it. You and I talk about it. We ask Tata questions about it. We
Yeah.
ask the players, and they always say the same thing. Yes, that is a weakness that we need to work on. That is a point that we're working on. That is something we're working on in practice. Well, but they keep doing it.
I
Somebody
mean,
has a
it's kind
moment of
of, yeah.
someone loses their concentration.
I think it's kind of like they score, and then Messi's like, "Hold my beer," or maybe in this case, "Hold my yerba mate." Hold on, and then boom, it's like that's it. Who cares? Like, oh, that's cute,
Yeah.
and then they get their 3 goals to bury you quickly.
Yeah. I mean, in this last game, it was a rare mistake I mean, this one really was on Drake Callender. I got to say. I mean,
Yeah.
he's great. He's been amazing for them. He's, deserving of all the accolades. This particular goal, 37 seconds into the game, he went way off his line. I mean, he strayed way out of the net, all the way to the edge of the box. There was no reason. There was really no reason for him to do that. There was some kind of miscommunication or I don't know what happened there. But he was all the way out where he was not supposed to be. And, the opposing player just very simply chipped it over and went into the goal. It was not like some fantastic shot or anything. It was just that player took advantage and was able to score when the goalkeeper made a blunder. Um, but, yeah, this team does have the confidence now because I've asked the guys about this. They have the confidence that when they go down, they know the players that are on the field with them, and they're like, okay, we're down in the 37th second, but look who's on the field with us. We have we have Leo Messi, we have Sergio Busquets, we have all these players. And, whenever Messi is on the field, you know that he can rescue you. And he has time and time and time again. He continues to rescue this team, to dig them out of the hole. It's like they dig a hole and then he comes in there with his rope and they all climb out and he's standing there with the rope and the entire team is climbing out of the hole because of what Messi is doing. But, Julian Gressel was asked about it after the game and he said, look, this has to stop because, yes, we have been able to get ourselves out of the hole with the help of Messi, but one of these times it's not going to be enough. One of these times, if they give up that early goal and they only score one, they're going to end up with a tie when they should have had a win. And when it comes to the end of the season, if you're 1 point down or 2 points down, those are points that you would have wished that you would have gotten earlier in the year, points that are there for the taking. And for this team, they are giving up. There's an opportunity for the other team to score. And why are you giving them that? Because it's making it much harder for yourself. And, their luck is going to run out. I mean, I believe that their luck with this habit of giving up a goal in the first 5 minutes, you can't just keep doing that. At one point, it's not going to work. And they're going to fall short by a goal. And that goal is going to be the one that's going to kill them. So, they absolutely need to clean that up.
Yeah, and they've also been getting away with it a little bit with teams that have not been playing well so far this year. I mean, let's be honest, New England is at the bottom of the league. Even Nashville,
Right.
a heated rival, even when they were good, they weren't really known for their offense. Really, now on top of that, they're struggling. But they're going to face teams starting with this weekend that are going to bring it
Starting
in the
this
offensive
weekend.
end.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's
Yes.
a problem they have to fix.
This New York team, it happened over there in New York.
Right.
Yes, it was raining. I was there. It was raining. It was freezing. It was in the
It's
40s. It was an
terrible.
ugly day. And Messi was not there. We cannot overstate the fact that Messi was not in that game. A game here with Messi at home in 75 degrees, 85 degrees, that's going to be a very different game than the game we saw in New York. However, that team, that New York Red Bulls team, is a good team, playing well. Lewis Morgan, we said it before that last game, and we will say it again. Lewis Morgan is a great player. It was a big loss when this team lost him. He's fast. He's an assassin. He's a striker. And he played so well against Miami in New York. And believe me, to come back here home, which is where he was living when he was playing with Inter Miami, he's going to want to put on another show. He's going to want to put on another show. And he's going to want to do it against Messi because there's always that little asterisk like, oh, yeah, your team won 4-0 against Inter Miami, but Messi was not playing in that game and the weather was crappy and whatever. They're going to want to show that they can beat this team with Messi in good weather. So they're going to be highly, highly motivated. This game, yeah, hopefully the Miami team, for the Miami fans, they haven't been lulled a little bit because the last few games, you're right, they've played against teams that have been struggling and they've done well, but they're going to play now against a team that scored 4 goals against them and is going to be hungry to do it again. Is going to be very hungry to do it again.
Lewis Morgan himself, if you didn't see it the first time or if you blacked it out of your mind on purpose to not remember that painful memory, 3 goals, a hat trick, and 1 assist in that game. I mean, he tore them up completely in that game. But granted, like you said, I mean, Messi wasn't there. The weather was miserable. They were playing in a monsoon practically, cold, all that.
Right, but Alba was there. One thing is that Alba was there. Alba will not be there this time. I mean, he's expected to be out, I think, for another week or two, at least. And Lewis Morgan, if he's racing up the right side, that left back better be ready. That left back right now is Franco Negri, and he's a good player, but he is going to be tested. Whoever's left back, whatever wing he plays on, the defender on that side is going to be tested with Lewis Morgan. And again, talk about a guy who throws his whole body and self into the games. If you recall that game, he did one of those keeping the ball in play where everyone had kind of given up on the ball, and he went racing to the sideline, kept the ball in play, and fed the ball in for an assist for one of their 4 goals. So he's a guy who just has an incredible motor, an incredible engine. He's going to be super fired up. He's coming off a hat trick against this team. So it's going to be interesting. But Messi will and should be in this game. It's a home game. He's on a roll. The expectation is he's going to want to come in and get a win for this team against, I'm sure he felt terrible that he couldn't play in that game. He's going to want to play in this game and show that Miami's capable of beating New York for sure. So both teams are going to be really motivated for this game.
And from a standings perspective, it's a huge game because it's a stiff arm game for Inter Miami. They want to get 3 points and deny the Red Bulls 3 points all in one shot. The Red Bulls in 3rd place right now in the East. This could put them, I believe 7 points ahead of the Red Bulls if they win this game. We want to talk about cushions against one of the better teams in the league. There's one right there. And then on the flip side, of course, the Red Bulls almost need these 3 points to get right there in the rearview mirror and get real close to Inter Miami again, which I think they have. They might even have a game in hand on them right now as well. So one way or the other, a huge swing if one team gets this. If it's a tie, even
it's kind of like it's kind of like a 6 point. You could call it like a 6 point
swing. It is.
It's a 6 point swing. It's a 6 point swing because if you gain 3 and you deny them 3, and this is the team that's right behind you, pretty much, on the tailpipe. They're right there. Yep. They're right on the neck of Inter Miami, breathing down the neck of Inter Miami. So this is going to be a really good game. The last few games have been Inter Miami on the top and the opponent near the bottom. This game is going to be against a really good opponent that we've seen what they already did to them this year, and against Lewis Morgan. So it should be a very exciting game on Saturday for sure.
Indeed. Inter Miami 21 points, as we mentioned before. The Red Bulls 17. Only FC Cincinnati in between them at 18. So even that game, because depending on what Cincinnati does, let's say Cincinnati loses, then you really build. It's an opportunity game for Inter Miami to build a cushion, potentially 7 points ahead of the Red Bulls, potentially even go 6 points ahead of everyone in the East, which would be enormous with what's coming after that. So huge game.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge game. Huge game. Yes. Yeah. They're going to be drinking a lot of yerba mate before this game.
they gotta bring the entire huge pitcher, bring out all the filters.
They're doing giant thermoses. Yeah.
Chugging that. So to be ready for that. But the fans should be ready too. Maybe get themselves some as well, because that's going to be a big scene on Saturday night, whether you're there in person or watching it from home. Should be fun. And one of those first big MLS season games of the season that has some real implications, you would think, potentially down the road. So
yep, absolutely. No, it's getting fun. It's getting fun. I mean, this team is they are right now where people thought they would be, or where the Inter Miami fans hoped they would be, and they are. They're there now. And as long as the GOAT, as long as Messi stays healthy and continues to play the way he's playing, this team absolutely could. They could definitely win MLS Cup and win Leagues Cup if they continue to play this way. But it is all reliant on Messi. I feel like without him, even with all the other good players they've got and the acquisitions, and when he's on the field, the Messi experience is very different from the regular Inter Miami experience. It's a different experience. It's a different experience for the fans. It's a different experience for the players on the field. It's a different experience for their own team, for the opposing team. It's even a different experience for the writers, everyone following it. When Messi plays, everything is elevated to another level.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this team without him, maybe it's a playoff team, but it's a championship team, and it's an elite caliber championship team when he's there. There's no question about the not one notch, several notches that he kicks them up to when he's on the field and playing to the level that he's capable of playing. So we'll see if they can keep it going. Michelle and I will be back next week to talk a little more about that Red Bulls encounter. How did it go? Did they get that cushion, or did they fall back into the pack a little bit? We'll be there we'll be here to talk about it. Again, we appreciate everybody watching Inside Inter Miami once again. Remember, you can catch us on MiamiHerald.com or on YouTube, and you can always listen to us. If you can only listen to us, check us out on Spotify, iTunes, whatever podcatcher you like to you like to listen to. For Michelle, I'm Andre Fernandez. Enjoy the game on the weekend, everybody. We'll hope to be pointing to the sky. He'll be pointing to the sky a little bit more if you're Inter Miami, and we'll see you next week.